Hi, in this video I'm going to provide a review on the what I think is pronounced Meike, and this is the grip for the XT3 by Fujifilm. Here is the XT3. I have the grip, the Meike grip on, and this is an alternative to the OEM or the original Fujifilm grip. And you might be wondering why consider the alternative. Well, obviously it's the price. So this is considerably cheaper than the OEM grip for the XT3 camera. Now I'll quickly show you the grip, and then I'll tell you some of the challenges I've had with it and some of the things I like about it and some of the things that I don't like about it. So just moving right in the box you will get the grip and then this little handy remote. Now I did not use this remote much. Firstly, because it fell on the floor, and as you can see, the display is now faulty. Obviously, I could fix this, but this is not something that's important to me. So this expands the capability of the grip. This is not something you're going to find on the OEM, the Fujifilm grip, because the Fujifilm grip does not come with this. This Meike has this portable device allowing you to take photos from a distance, but if you have the app you can also take photos with your XT3, so this is not something that I use regularly. Right, moving on. Now I have been using this grip for more than 2 months, so I can say with authority that it is reliable, it does work, although there are some side effects or challenges. Now just taking it off, when you're taking it off, you've got to be sure that you are releasing it in a balanced fashion, because what tends to happen is you see while I'm taking it off and you see that angle that is created there, and that's no good because it actually puts these puts us under stress. What you got to do is you got to make sure you pull it evenly. So you see, there we go. And you might be wondering, like, why would it do this? Well, it's actually quite interesting because this part here, which people have said is, you know, poor quality or the materials aren't good, sits so snugly onto the body that it actually grips on the body, and I actually like that. That is a nice feature. So just showing you that again, if I put this onto the camera body here on the side, yes, there's a difference in material. Yes, this is plasticky and seems cheap, while the body, the Fujifilm, is nice and high quality. But I can say to you that this fits very snugly, and it's very important that it has this, because especially for someone with big hands, as you can see, it improves the grip. So it gives you a better grip, and it's one of the reasons why I like battery grips. So I don't have anything bad to say about this. I know that it doesn't feel the same as that, but again, as I said, that is not important to me. You still got the rubberizing there on the inside, and adds that extra grip, which is nice. As you can see, I can hold the camera much better with that additional grip, and that is why when you're taking this thing off, you are having this problem. As you can see, it's fitting so snugly there that you actually have to literally release it from the body. Okay, so here's the grip, just having a look. So the battery comes out the side, which is probably a very important feature, especially for people who use the camera on a head or a big camera stand. And the reason being is because it's very difficult to get the battery out when it's on the camera stand, and I'll demonstrate that to you right now. So if I want to take the battery out while it's on the head, so here you can see the camera is now on a head. And how do you get the battery out? As you can see, the lid is being blocked by the head, and even if you're using a smaller camera stand, you might find this problem. And this is one of the reasons why the battery grip is so useful. But this is not necessarily true of only the Meike. Obviously the Fujifilm brings this capability as well. So I'll show you now when you add the grip. Now you can see I've added the grip. Now getting to the battery compartment is obviously blocked, but here when I change the batteries, you can see how easy it is. And then also it gives you more room, as you can see over there, when you are needing to adjust the focal length or the focus of your XT3. Right, now just having a look at the materials, this is rubberized, and the rubber that's on the grip is far more sticky. When I say sticky, I don't mean it's going to stick to your hand, but it's got far more friction as opposed to the one that's on the XT3 itself. It's not that it's poorer quality, it's just that this is more rubbery. This is more like a rubber tire, while this is not the same. It doesn't, I'm not saying that the Meike is any problem with that. In fact, I actually like that because everything fits very tightly. So even when I put this on, even though it's got rubberizing here, notice when I bump the camera camera doesn't move easily because this is rubber on the rubber here, and this is also very sticky. And then if you do want to grip, if you don't want to add your neck strap or hand strap, there is a point there on the grip to add it. Now when you are fastening this onto your camera stand, that is the large size, you can see it's too big, so you're using this size. And just having a look at the grip itself, this is what the underside looks like, and I have tightened it pretty tight, so I don't have any problem. I don't find that this is coming out or getting stripped or anything like that. I find the materials are fine, and I'm going to take the grip off now, and I'm just going to show you a close-up view of this grip. Alright, so these are the pins that mate with the body. Then on the side here, you take out your battery compartment. Something that I feel is missing, I've labeled it myself, left and right. And the reason being is because I know that the left is on the left, but sometimes when you're in a hurry, it's much easier to just see, okay, left, and pull out the battery, and then there's the right. It does say it inside, but I just want it to be on the outside. It does block you from putting the battery in the wrong orientation. As you can see, there's a lip there, and then the battery has the recess there, so that is fine. I only use the high quality or the Fujifilm W126S batteries. I cannot comment on the compatibility of other brands. Now this fits in very well, it slides in nicely, and it's got a metal reinforcement here, so as you can see it's pretty rugged. I've got no problem with that. I like the way you release it here. It's spring loaded. There you can see the little locking system. And there you can see it is pretty decent, no problems there. And you've got your command dial here, and there's another one here. Now in terms of the quality, no, it's not as good as the one on the camera. The camera one has got very specific positions, and you can feel those positions, and it doesn't wobble. While this one here, it's got more free play, it wobbles, and those specific positions are less defined, although it works and there's no problem, and you also press it down, it's just that it's different and maybe not as good as the one on the body. And here's the AE button, the AF lock button, there they are, and they press fine. It's got the normal and boost if you want in the performance mode. And if you look on the Fujifilm camera, you can see there's the FN, so here you're duplicating that button, and then there's the Q, and then there you see you've got the Q there. So if you're holding the camera in this orientation, you've got your button, but if you're holding it in the opposite orientation, the vertical orientation, then it's going to mirror those buttons for you. You see there and there. Now this button over here is actually for the wireless remote. It's not the on-off button for the camera, so I just leave that off. And then the shutter button here works fine. I know there's been some negative comments about the quality. I've got no problem with it. You can distinctly feel two different positions. So obviously the focus and then the actual taking of the photo or starting the video. All right, moving on. Now I'd like to talk about the battery management, because that is my main critique. Right, now I'm putting the battery in the unit, and as you can see, it will come up there and it will show me that there's a battery. There's the battery. Now I'm going to put two additional batteries into the grip, and I'll show you what it looks like on the screen. Right, so I'm switching it on, and you can see there are the three batteries. So you've got the internal, then the left, then the right. Now according to the manual, it'll go internal, then it'll use the left, then it'll use the right. Now the battery management function of this grip is a little bit questionable, and that's my main critique of the grip. Now what happens with the internal battery? Imagine there was no grip here. So let me take the grip off, switch it off. Now my experience is that when I'm taking videos, especially 4K with high bit rates, 50 frames per second, it uses the battery pretty quickly. It actually reduces the capacity quite fast, and that's one of the reasons why I use the Fujifilm batteries. I've got a detailed video showing a generic battery for this and showing how poor the generic battery is when it comes to 4K footage. And what happens is this whole section here gets really hot, including the memory card, and here at the back it gets really hot. So one of the reasons why I wanted the battery grip is also that the heat will then be sitting here by the batteries. I'm not going to add additional heat to the camera from this battery internally. So I actually never use the internal battery. I never even put one in there. But what I noticed is the management system of the battery is very good when it comes to the Fujifilm camera when it's managing the battery. So what happens is when I'm just using the camera alone, when it gets close to the end of the battery life, it'll actually start to flash. Now imagine you ignore that and you're at 18 minutes of a very important video. Will you lose the video? And the answer is no. And that's one of the great features of this. Many phones, like I've used phones to record videos, and when the battery runs out, it just loses that last video you've taken. Whereas the Fujifilm, being in the professional range, what happens is when the battery is almost dead, it stops the recording, saves the video, and then shuts down the camera. Now that's very important, otherwise you would lose the video. So why am I bringing this up? Well, when it comes to the grip, it doesn't do that as well. In fact, I have lost a very important video because it was at about 18 minutes, and I saw on the screen that the left battery was red. It doesn't flash red, it's just red. And then next thing, it actually just cut out. So it doesn't shift to the next battery without you losing the current video that you were taking. Now, this doesn't happen often because what I've learned to do is to compensate for that. So what I mean by that is as follows. All right, so now there I've put the grip on, and you can see I've got my two batteries left and right, and they're both full. Now, say I'm recording a 4K video and the battery is being drained rather rapidly, then maybe that goes red, the left one. Now if I just carry on recording or just start a new recording and I don't keep checking here whether it's gone red or not, I may stand to lose that video. So what I do is I make sure that once the battery goes red, I stop the recording. Once I've stopped the recording, and if I restart the recording, it actually transfers the battery usage to the right battery. Then I don't run the risk of losing that video. So that's my main problem. Now I don't know if the original, the OEM, the Fujifilm's own battery grip manages it better than that. So I can't say if the Meike is making a poor decision in terms of how it's managing the battery. But in terms of the one I've got in front of me, which is the Meike, I'm a bit worried when it comes to when it goes red there. I kind of baby it and then do shorter takes, and then once it hops onto the next battery, I then am free to take longer 4K videos. So why I'm saying 4K is because you're only getting about 1.5 20-minute sessions on one of these batteries when you're recording at the full spec of the highest bit rate and the highest frame rate. And this is one of the reasons why I use these high quality batteries. So just to be clear, this battery is the NP126S, sorry, the W126S. I have not tried the grip with the generic batteries, so I'm talking about the original batteries. Now, overall, I do need this grip. Even though it has that quirky battery management system, I still use the grip. I can't not use the grip because of the reasons shown. It's very important to me that you can pull out the batteries here and quickly change a battery or add a battery and then push this back in. In terms of that, it's very reliable, and I use this camera every second day, and it's mostly for 4K footage. So I can honestly say that I have no problem with that. It does the job. But in terms of managing the batteries and when it transfers to the next battery, it's a bit quirky, and that's what my main complaint with the grip is. Now, there is one other thing which you should be aware of. When you are switching on this camera and it's got the grip, it's got a bit of a hissing sound. It's like a quiet scream. It's the sound of I don't know if you're familiar with a switch mode power supply that is not quite above 20 kilohertz. It's like the sound of a power supply that is still in the audible range. So it goes like ee. It's not like you're going to get a headache from it. You can barely notice it, but it definitely makes a hissing sound coming from the grip, and it is more pronounced when you are using the grip in the charging mode. Right, now on the side is a micro USB connection, and that allows you to charge the batteries, and I'm just going to open it. So there's a little space there to put your micro USB cable. There it is, and I'm just going to plug in my micro USB. There we go, and it's now in, and you can see that it's got two LEDs. So this is telling me there's two batteries. So that's now charging the left and the right battery, and it says that the charging power supply must be at least 1 amp. So I have it connected to a premium battery charger that can give 2 amps, so there's no problem there, and the cable is high quality. So what I'm concerned about is the noise. Now I don't know if you can hear that. I'm going to bring the grip pretty close to the camera. So it's got a bit of a buzz. Now that's not necessarily uncommon. Even cell phone chargers, good cell phone chargers sometimes do that. But what it does say in the manual is don't have the camera in the on position when you're charging it. And when I switch the camera in the on position, I don't know if you can hear that. So that sound is not very savory. I don't know why it's making that sound, but again, these are noisy electronics. It does say it charges the battery, so that is quite useful. I haven't used that personally. I've just been using the standard Fujifilm charger. So if you wanted to, you could charge the battery. It does say it charges the battery. For me, when it makes that sound, I get a bit worried, so I don't actually use it. Okay, so in closing, I've been using this for 2 months. I will continue to use it. I'm not going to go and buy the Fujifilm OEM grip. I do regret not buying the Fujifilm OEM grip, but I would have only known that had I bought the Meike. I'm not going to go and buy the XT3 OEM grip. I'm going to stick with this. Obviously, it was much cheaper. I like the fact that I had that option, so I can't be too critical, but my only concern is I'd like to find out how much better the OEM grip, the Fujifilm's grip, does in terms of managing the battery. If I'm in the middle of a recording and the battery life or the battery capacity of a certain battery is too low, how will it manage it? Will it just cancel the video and I've lost it forever? Or will it stop the video from recording, save it, transfer it to the other battery? And that for me is an unanswered question. So other than that, I do like the grip. I like the fact that it's much cheaper, but I do have some regrets in that I did not get the Fujifilm one, but only because of the video. If you're someone who's doing point and shoot photos rather than videos, then I would say there's no real problem with this. In fact, it works really well, and giving you that vertical ability is very important, and it's a nice bulky grip, especially if you've got a bigger hand like mine. There you can see I'm used to shooting on the old Minolta and Canon cameras, and the grips are nice and bulky. All right, so that brings me to the end of my video, and I hope that was helpful. Thanks for watching. Cheers.